Yeah, hit the ground running, never looking back, nah. On a mission, got that vision, it's a fact, yeah. Feel the fire in my soul, let the power take control. Every single goal, I'm coming for it all. Let's go! Bring the battle, bring your fame. God's face is looking down. Let's make history.
And I'm done.
Let's start at the very beginning. So, you're a human. You live on planet Earth. You came here naked, crying, and afraid. You had no idea what was going on. And for most of you, you may still not have any idea what's going on. We live right now in what could appear to be a very confusing world. One where we do all of these random things that don't make sense. We get in cars, we drive to jobs, we do things that other people tell us to, and we show up to places to get food that we don't know where it comes from, and we watch people talk on a box that has these weird lights coming from it, and it tells us what's happening in the world and how everything is falling apart and that we're all about to come to an end, etc. Things we do in our day-to-day life can be quite confusing for many people. And a lot of that is because we live in a time where we're not as we were naturally evolved or intended to be, right? We are right now in one of the weirdest times in human history. This moment we're in is unlike any other that we've ever existed. And this can make it seem very confusing. Now, for many, many thousands of years, humans lived much closer to nature, and we lived in much simpler ways. A lot of it was ingrained into our DNA. Namely, let's start with the very beginning. You would be born into a small village or a modest-sized city where everything was within walking distance. You may have gotten on a horse or rode a wagon. It wasn't a very fast pace. You knew everyone who lived around you, and you knew them from birth. You didn't tend to move. You would have known the area you were in since you were born and never went anywhere else, really. It would have been rare for you to be a person who did otherwise. You would have ate food that you probably would have grown yourself or known the exact person who grew it. Your home may have been built by yourself or your family, and you yourself would take part in managing and maintaining it. You would have had a job that related specifically to your small community, and you would have done very basic, practical things that really made sense why you were doing them. You could have been a blacksmith who would have repaired wagon wheels or made horseshoes. You could have been a farmer who grew wheat for everyone in your community. You could have been a shipbuilder who built ships for the ship people who fished for food out in the ocean. There was much more meaning and purpose to everything. Nowadays, we live in a much more spread out, unpersonal, and unpurposed type of life, right? And this can cause a lot of lack of meaning for people, confusion, a sort of senselessness to things, or corporatization, you might call it. This is the effect of our populations being so large and technology progressing to a point where many of the things that are ingrained in us are no longer necessary for us to do. Right now it's dark outside. I'm in my house and I have electric lights. I can see what I'm doing. Many times past, I probably would be in bed right now, if not managing a fire right before I go to sleep. Another thing people don't know how to do is make a fire. It's crazy. I've had people work for me who are in construction, and I would just ask them to do a simple thing to start burning things, and they can't even do that. These things can be a large reason why life is confusing in and of itself to begin with for you. You might not understand why there's any meaning to anything or feel a sense of importance because everything you're doing has no direct or obvious reason why you're doing it. Paying taxes, for example, is another thing. It seems like a meaningless thing. But anyway, this lifestyle we're living is one reason why it can seem as if life has no point, right? Just like a dog sled team, the dogs derive a lot of their happiness and meaning from being a part of that sled team, and they're happy for it. A lot of other animals, that work in groups, they develop a sense of purpose and happiness working in those groups. We are not much different. One of the things for us to highly consider if we are to feel and learn a sense of purpose is to take on what's in our life immediately. For myself, I've done this by one, starting my own business. I've made what I do directly relevant to the world around me. I help people with construction projects and doing small repairs and maintenance on houses that are directly beneficial to the people I know. I also have personal relationships with the people I work with because it's my community. That's another. This is very helpful in making what I am doing feel important and affecting my self-image. This is something that's been lost for many people who work in very large businesses that commute, etc. And they can't see a larger purpose or ability to basically contribute. This is one of the major things. And a part of this video is to help make this very tangible for you to have an avenue to be able to start making more sense out of the world. I would suggest, and this is my humble opinion, you should structure your life in a way where what you're doing makes sense for a purpose, meaning that you are actually contributing to the world around you. You're having a direct effect. This takes you from being a follower and someone who is in the frame of our larger collective consciousness, which is a very media-driven conscious, into a communal type consciousness where you're in the frame of your community and you're more directly connected to reality, which will in turn give you more accurate perspectives on reality and a closer connection to the divine, God, right? The closer you can get to the natural way of things, the less you are in a system and the more that you're connected to creation, right? This is important. And this segues into the second part of why the world is confusing. I believe I tend to have the inclination that people who spend a large amount of time in nature have a closer connection to the Creator. The people who are connected to what is real, the most real, are the people who are influenced by the inference and by the language of God. Now, when I say God, you may have a lot of different things that come up into your mind. You might think the Christian God, maybe the Islamic God or some other. Set that aside for a moment and think solely of that there is a creator. There is a one source of creation. If you pay attention to the reality around us and you actually absorb all of the design that is in it, you will begin to almost hear the language of God. You will be able to interpret the intention behind reality. And this will make it so the world is less confusing. And you will also ignore narratives that are pushed onto you, mostly from other humans. There is a very funny thing a lot of people talk about, where you have someone who is educated versus someone who is intelligent. This is a very, very important and key separation. Okay. The way we are brought up, this frame that we are within, some people call it a matrix, some people call it a social conditioning. We are trained to repeat information, to simply memorize and regurgitate, not to draw from our own experiences and to draw our own inner paradigm from what we have learned in our real life. This is very dangerous. One, it's a conditioning from a very young age. And two, it is actually a survival mechanism. We as humans are highly prone to want to survive no matter the cost. And the primary way we do that is through our groups. Now, if in the wild 1,000 years ago, you were to try to exist amongst the animals and nature of the African plains or something like it, you would have many dangers to contend with as a human. And the thing with humans, in many ways, we are not equipped with as many defenses as animals. We don't have fangs or teeth. We don't have claws. We're not very fast runners. We actually can run very slow compared to many animals. And we don't have thick armored skin or any of these things. What we do have is each other, and that is our greatest strength. We have safety in numbers. And secondarily, we have a lot of ability from our intelligence or awareness. But what's important, most humans can only survive with others. And in order to maintain that survival ability, we have to get along. And not only do we have to get along, we have to cooperate and we have to act cohesively. If we as humans are not all on the same page, then we are no longer effective at surviving. And we're all very aware of this. People are very self-conscious. They're very nervous or they get embarrassed. Things that you don't observe in animals nearly as much. We tend to want to stick with the largest group preference, whatever that is. There is what politicians call an Overton window. An Overton window is this idea of that there is a large spectrum of ideas that can exist in a political structure. Political structure meaning the consciousness of the human group, the ideas of how to exist and cooperate, right? So the Overton window is the area within that sliding scale, a small sliver of it, where we agree this area is where we all exist, and there is differences within it, but we do not go outside the Overton window. We stick within it, and we stick to these goals and ideas and systems, so that way the group can survive. Now, if you step outside the Overton window, where there are still other ideas you can explore and things you can do, you can make arguments from there, but the group will start to become nervous about this and they will ostracize you, because if you're too far outside of it, then you start to run the risk of ruining the system that the group has at the moment, which is, maybe it's not perfect, but at least it's working and it's getting everyone to survive. But if you go too far out of it, you could ruin that whole system, and then you could end up putting everyone at risk. And if you do this, there's only one choice the group has, and that is to get rid of you. And they may do this in many ways. One, usually they would just kick you out, ignore you, ostracize you, say you're not allowed to hang around us anymore. And that's highly dangerous for a human for most of human history, because there are many things that were very dangerous to us. I mean, there was wolves, lions, bears, and not only that, but the elements. You had the winter. If you don't have other people to help you survive the winter, that is very, very hard. I've stayed out in the cold for weeks before in the past. I've had frostbite. You can barely survive outside on your own in the winter. You need other people. So this all being said, because of this, we are highly, highly sensitive to having ideas that are too loopy or too outside of the mainstream thought. Now, as it stands right now, we are in almost a globalist culture in many ways. Now, and this is somewhat limited to the language you speak. We're speaking English, so we're more or less in the Western world set of ideas. We're all connected with our language, and there's a general set of rules to our culture within English. There's others, and you have the Asians. I mean, China is a large one. They have a very strong culture of their own, and then all those micro ones, all the other languages. But the point is that I'm trying to get at here, one of the reasons that the world gets confusing to many, especially in the scenario we are in now, is our culture is trying to create a one size fits all for billions of people. And it is a culture that has tried to create systems that fit over top of large geographical demographics, large ethnic demographics, just tons of different people. And the problem with that is it may not be very efficient, and it can cause a lot of different issues that pop up. And the thing with humans is they will try to ignore those issues as much as they can, all the way up into the point where they're not able to be ignored anymore, just to survive and to exist within that Overton window or frame that the main stream of thought has curated. Right? You'll hear many people in high academic levels when they talk about different ideas within academia that certain ideas shouldn't be explored because they're too politically sensitive, or they are not, politically correct, these type of things. Now, this video is not about politics. It's about your mind, and it's about reality. But we have to illustrate why you might be in confusion, depression, disharmony with reality. And one of the major reasons is because we as humans have this collective consciousness that's trying to align with each other. And it doesn't work so well in this major system that we have now. So looping back to the beginning of the video, we talked about how if you can take yourself and make your life more focused on your immediate world, you can begin to connect closer to with what is real, and your mind will work more efficiently, and you will be able to actually align yourself with real thoughts and truth better. And the world will become much simpler and make more sense. Now, this is something many may think not possible to do, that they have to live in the system or whatever you want to call it. They have to be a part of that world. In many ways, that is true. But if you wish to wake up your mind to actually be conscious and to be a part of creation and to add to it, you need to have a clear mind and you need to be connected to what is real. This is very important. And one of the ways you need to start doing this, let's put this in the most simple ways. You need to, what was it, Buddha or was it Confucius that said, if every man were to sweep his front porch, the whole world would be clean. You need to take on what's immediately in front of you and you need to connect to the world. This is very important. If you would, I would consider the things that you do the most in your day, making it relevant to your life and the people around you, the most important. One, and this is just one suggestion, start your own business that's within your own area or community. This will connect you much more and it will make you more caring. It will make you more thoughtful, more connected, and just generally aware. It'll make your mind more alert. Number two, you have to stop paying attention to the frame of the larger collective as much. Meaning you need, and this is very important, to spend less time on the internet watching whatever is curated to you. You need to stop watching TV so much. You need to spend more time in nature. You need to spend time going out into the wilderness, going to parks, or simply being outside where the terrain is less touched by humans. This is very important. And three, you need to get into the act of creating. This is major. This is super major. And I would love to go into a 6-hour rant about this. I could give you so much information. But you need to tap in to a creative mindset. And how do you do that? We need to achieve what is called flow. Now, there's many ways you can do this. Many, many, many ways. Some of the simple examples would be dancing. Another would be singing. You could drive race cars. You could drive a motorcycle. You could play an instrument. You could do a martial art. Many things. The point is you're doing something that is of your own intention, that requires your own expression, and that is a skill that you can progress at and then grow to the point where you bring something new into existence. This will unlock your mind and it will make it so that you will not be in a state of fear, but you'll be in a state of abundance, that you have something that you're giving. When you do all of these things, you will begin to become what I believe is wise, and your life will change dramatically. Now, these are just a few ideas. Consider them, and I ask you to practice them. Give them a try, at least for a period of time, and pay attention when you do them. Take the time to set aside to try these things, and then observe how they affect you and your life, your emotions, how you feel, and how you start to put things into the world. You should see a change, and people should make comments on it. Now, I'd love to give you more information on all this. If you would, come back to the channel, watch some more videos. But until then, that's it. Thanks, everyone.